Diamondback 2009, Banshee 2014, Mystic Timbers 2017, Orion 2020, and Snoopy Soapbox Racers 2024. 2027, a new coaster for Kings Island? This is Theme Park Brandon, and I'm going to discuss with you all my thoughts and predictions as to why I think 2027 will be the year that us Kings Island fans can rejoice, because they're going to be debuting a brand new record-breaking roller coaster that's not in the Vortex plot of land. Followed by my coaster predictions as to what type of coaster and why it makes perfect sense for this one style of ride to open up in the front of the park at Kings Island. So, if you don't know, Kings Island used to be my home park. I worked there in 2004 and 2005, part of the Beast Crew in Whitewater Canyon. I love Kings Island just like you do. If you can't tell, I love the Beast like my shirt here. Now, with this area, Action Zone, I really enjoy Action Zone. Obviously, I have major rides there, the Bat and Vertigo, Banshee, Drop Tower. But it's kind of alarming that they removed the Sky Coaster. And Congo Falls is rumored to be on the way out, as well as in Vertigo and Timberwolf. We are looking at a major, massive plot of land that Kings Island can really do anything that they wanted to with this area. That is what we're dealing with. And it's so unique for a park to have this much free space, really, once they remove these rides, for them to build whatever they want again. So why I think Action Zone will be rethemed is because it's kind of a stale taste now. I mean, it's been Action Zone for even when Paramount owned the park. I mean, I don't mind the name Action Zone. I have no problem with it, but knowing what the way the new Six Flags is and Cedar Fair has been in the past, they like to refresh areas. We've seen it at Kings Island a few times now, obviously. So I think the trend will continue. This area isn't the nicest looking one either. I would love the concrete to get replaced with pavers or some nice, textured concrete, whatever. But the big point is that this area is going to see a major transformation, not only from the one new coaster, but maybe another flat ride to begin with. I mean, this area is so large that Kings Island can open up a new flat ride in this area of the park. Now, what kind of flat ride? Well, what if they would want to build a S&S Scream and Swing in this area? Now, I know what you're thinking. Cedar Point already has one. Kings Island would never do that. Well, just across the Midway's Delirium, and Cedar Point built Mack's Air a year later. So that type of stuff doesn't really matter with parks. But having a high capacity Scream and Swing ride right here where the Sky Coaster used to be would be awesome. I mean, the views that you would get of Banshee, the Bat, and the park, and this new coaster from that ride, legit. Now, if Action Zone would get rethemed, then what type of theme would they do? Well, we already know now that Kings Island is an official Six Flags park that there might be a good, legitimate chance that we will start seeing more IPs come to the park in terms of the DC characters in the parks. And I made a video a few months ago that maybe we could see Banshee be rethemed to Batman the Ride. As much as I would hate that, it does. I love the whole DC nook of Kings Island. That'd be really cool. There's a lot of cool things that Six Flags could do with that if done right, obviously. Now, I know you're thinking, I'd hate to see the DC names on the rides. Well, there's a lot of cool rides out there, guys, that utilize the DC names, that the theme is legit, like Mr. Freeze at Six Flags, DC Rivals down at Warner Brothers out in Australia. There's a lot of cool things that Six Flags can do with this. And I really think that having a ride themed to Flash Vertical Velocity, but not the clone from Great Adventure, but having a ride themed to that with a pre-show room and the actual cool flashing lights and energizing lights around the actual ride and through some tunnels throughout the coaster would be awesome. Now, I guarantee you this, if done right, and I think they'll do it right, that you and I will both agree that we will think, this actually is a really cool looking ride. And yeah, I'm with you. I really don't want to have a name Flash Vertical Velocity or Batman the Ride. But, you know, it's worked so well with Six Flags over the last, 20, 30, 40 years, whatever, that I think it makes sense for these parks to adapt some of those names to this. But in this new coaster is going to be legit, because I really feel like 2027 will be the year, and it's going to be a major coaster that features launches and inversions. And here's why. At Kings Island, you can only find 2 coasters that feature launches: Flight of Fear as well as Queen City Stunt Coaster. And Queen City Stunt Coaster opened up in 2005. So they definitely are due for a major launch coaster that's outdoors. And speaking of Flight of Fear, that and Banshee are the only coasters at Kings Island that flip riders upside down once they remove Invertigo. Now, that's why I think this coaster is going to feature launches and a bunch of twisted inversions. And if you're like me and you love Kings Island and the retired coasters that used to call Kings Island home, like the Vortex and Son of Beast, then check out themeparkbranded.com for my retro coaster gear, where you can find a Son of Beast shirt as you see right here, as well as my Vortex shirt as well, and including my Beast shirt as you're seeing right now. I also have awesome posters like the ones you're looking at as well, and behind me, and more on themeparkbranded.com. I really do appreciate all the support. Now, let's get into what type of coaster this may be, because I have a very strong feeling that this ride could possibly be coming from Mack Rides. And to give you a percentage on this is Premier Rides, a multi-launch coaster like Alpine Fury, I'm going to give that a 30% chance of happening. I think that would be a fantastic addition to Kings Island. It would actually give the park 3 premier launch coasters, ironically enough, but I definitely think that is right there in the mix of things. With a 30% chance of happening as well, a Mack Rides Extreme Spinner. I just think a Mack Rides coaster makes the most sense for Kings Island as far as reliability, the guest satisfaction, as well as the capacity element of it. An Extreme Spinner would just do so well for Kings Island in the front of the park. I've said in past videos, I do think the next coaster for either Cedar Point or Kings Island will be an Extreme Spinner. It's going to open up one of those parks. It just makes the most sense for one of these parks to open it up. But an Extreme Spinner in the front of the park featuring multiple launches and versions, that's going to get people walking in, like stopping and like looking at that thinking, what? That's awesome. It looks a lot more fun than Invertigo does, you know? So I do think an Extreme Spinner is right there. But with a 40% chance of happening, I think it's a Mack Rides Striker Coaster. I think that makes the biggest bang for the buck for Kings Island. You get the 4-cross seating. You have the insane twisted elements, multiple launches. For me, if this ride is themed to Flash Vertical Velocity, this is the style of ride that the park could really benefit from the most. I just love what the inspiration from that is Voltron at Europa Park. I just love what Mack Rides and Europa Park came up with for this awesome striker coaster. If you don't know, Voltron is one of the top rated coasters in all of Europe. And I've said in past videos, Kings Island desperately deserves that top 5, top 10 worthy coaster, and this is going to be it. Voltron features a track length of over 4,500 feet. The tallest element is 106 feet tall, so it's not that tall, but Flash Vertical Velocity Kings Island could be 140, 150 feet tall if Kings Island wanted it to be, dominating the front of the park. Voltron features a top speed of 62 miles an hour, 7 inversions, and a bunch of twisted elements and airtime. Not to mention, but very comfortable seats. Now obviously Kings Island's version, since Six Flags loves to break records, will be taller, longer, and faster. So I'm going to predict if Kings Island would go the striker route, you're going to see 2 launches, 8 inversions, as well as a turntable element like Voltron has. Just take a look at this. Now how cool would this be? The midpoint of the ride, you come to a stop, and then you rotate 180 degrees into the next section of track, and then the train launches you forward a little bit, followed by a reverse launch up 100 and some foot tall vertical spike, and then back through the turntable tunnel, and then into the second half for the layout. Now tell me that does not sound awesome. As you can see right here, a ride like this being placed in Action Zone would make the most sense. It would just do so well and bring a lot more foot traffic to that side of Action Zone, where on the other side you have the Bat entrance and Banshee entrance. This entrance would be located right across from the restrooms and would really just gravitate a lot of people towards that area. And not to mention, but give Kings Island a little bit more room to work with as far as adding another flat ride to this area here. Again, this ride would not take over this plot of land really from the Extreme Skyflyer very much. That would be hopefully for a Scream and Swing. I mean, I doubt that's all going to happen, but you never know. A new flat ride in that area would do really well, because Action Zone could benefit from another flat. But in the big picture, having a coaster like this that utilizes the Timberwolf plot of land, Congo Falls, as well as Vertigo, and possibly the Sky Coaster plot, we're talking a major coaster. This has a chance to become the best coaster Kings Island has ever built. Possibly the best coaster in all of Ohio. Don't believe me? Well, then you want to go ride Voltron at Europa Park, because apparently it is top notch, and a lot of people do rank it higher than any coaster at Cedar Point. Now, what's your thoughts on my layout for Flash Vertical Velocity? You know what to do, let me know in the comments, and what's your predictions for the park as well. And if you're visiting Kings Island, then you want to check out my Kings Island Ultimate Guide at the bottom of your screen, so you have the best day possible at this Mason, Ohio theme park. With that being said, this is Theme Park Brandon. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to smile today, think positive, and keep riding coasters.